Hi everyone and welcome to this 1000 subscribers special. I thought it would be cool to make a special in two parts, so basically this week would be the making of and then next week would be the video itself. I hope that by watching this first part you're gonna learn about how I create all of my videos. And of course many things have changed since my first video itself. I've changed location many times, I've upgraded my gear over the years, and then I've gotten better also at the editing part of the work, even though it's not perfect and I still have a lot to learn. So if you have any comment or suggestion, make sure to leave them down below in the comment section. Finally, I just want to take this moment to thank you all for your patience over the years and also to keep watching my videos and to take some of your time to enjoy my content. So a big thank you and enjoy! So the first thing you want to do is obviously to select your song. I usually do so by choosing a cool piece from whatever I'm watching at that moment, whether it is from movies, TV show, anime, etc. Then you'll want to do some research on your selected title. Finding an already made sheet music or arrangement really cuts down the time you're gonna spend on the next step. Often there will be the piano arrangement, and if I'm lucky there will be like a sheet music for a violin or even a cello one. The key doesn't really matter since I can always change it later on for something more cello friendly. Now comes one of the most time consuming part of the video, creating the arrangement. If the research was successful, I can cut down so many hours just by copying basic notes and read them directly into Finale. If not, then I have to go note by note from the recording and put that into the program. I use Finale because that's the one I learned at school, but there are many notation programs you can use for free nowadays. In this case, I was lucky to find many basic arrangements. This piece is pretty tricky because it goes through a lot of key changes, and doing so by ear with all the voices, it would take forever. So I used the piano sheet music as my base, but started to add more voices to fit into 5 cello parts. There were some notes in the arrangements I didn't agree with, and I changed those. If there's any tricky place where I can't hear the note properly because it's too busy, I slow down the recording, and it sounds kind of silly and makes you go crazy if you listen to it for too long like that, so it's only a little bit at a time. Okay, enough suffering. I also add articulations and dynamics for more polished sheet music, but I usually do that at the end when I already uploaded the video. Once I'm done, I give it a final run through and then we're good to start the recording process. Oh yeah, and don't worry you guys, I usually work full screen. This was just for the sake of the video. And so here is the final result of the arrangement. Of course, it is with MIDI sounds, but it does give me a rough idea of what it's gonna sound like on the cello. I think the weirdest one I've done was Pan's Labyrinth, where the MIDI sounds was so awful that I almost scrapped the whole arrangement because I thought it wouldn't sound nice. My most time-consuming arrangements are definitely the ones with many voices and no bass arrangements. So this Agape cover is definitely in the top 3. And I guess alongside with Childhood Blues, the one from Gumi, and Moonlit Night from Dead Parades. Those were really long to make. Now let's the fun part begin. So here is my setup when I record. I have my camera and my mic ready, and I've been using wireless earphones recently, so I don't need a computer right next to me anymore. So that's an improvement, right? I just play the Finale file with a click track in my ear. It helps me to put everything in order when I'm editing. I set up the sheet music on my stand and start usually with the bass part. So the length of the recording part varies with the difficulty of the sheet music. I usually don't practice my parts before recording, so it does take me a few takes to get warmed up, and then I make sure I have at least 2-3 good takes of each part, so I have some choice when I'm editing. I did put some crazy parts for cello 3 in this one, and I kept it for the end in the hopes that maybe it would miraculously disappear. So that leads us to our next section. This is the nastiest part I've ever arranged, and I'm really dreading to record it. It's the last part to record, and I'm just like, oh, will I make it? Will I survive this thing? Oh my god, it's really not impossible, it's just so awkward. Why? When the recording is done, I then have to listen to all of what I have recorded and select the best takes. I delete all the incomplete ones by opening them and checking the length of the video. When I have my final selection, I import the audio into GarageBand, and yes, your girl is broke and uses GarageBand because it's free. Now comes the dreaded moment of the audio editing. I actually have no idea of what I'm doing, and you can probably tell by my audio. I also use the totally non-efficient technique of trials and errors. The first task is simply to align all parts together. It can be a little tricky because I can be quite messy with the rhythm when I record, which means the beats are not gonna align all nicely together. Here is how it sounds with no effects. Then I add a reverb to all my tracks because I'm recording in a basement and the ceilings are super low, so that means I basically have no natural reverb where I record. Overall, I did have to invest in better equipment for recording because my audio was pretty terrible at the beginning. So I did buy my current DPA mic or my Zoom Q8 for the camera. I also have bought a small video editing program that let me do split screen, so that's a lot easier now. However, because I feel less confident in this portion of the work, which is the audio editing, I think I've neglected investing time and resources to learn more about it. And here's how it sounds with the reverb. Finally, I get to tweak smaller effects like echo, EQ, gain, etc. I also play with the volume a lot to let some voices speak better when they have important sections and lower them when they are just the background. This definitely helped with any pizzicato section as well. Like with the audio, the first step of the video editing is to align all of the takes. I'm using Movavi, which is pretty cheap, and it let me do split screens very easily. I just import each tracks and then I select the option incrustation d'images, which loosely translates to, like, I guess, inlaying images or something like that. I can then adjust where the video will be and their sizes. Before, I actually had to export a black screen of the length of the video and one by one export for each tracks, adding one video at a time, and that would reduce the quality every time. And also that meant that if the video number 2, let's say, was crooked or not aligned, I had to re-export all of them separately. It was a mess. Once everything fits together, I cut the tracks in sections where I will change the angles. The trick is to make the cuts in every part at the same space, or else some angles might appear or disappear at different times. I actually had some synchronization problems in my last video, Childhood Dreams from Seraphine, and it took forever to fix. If I had just been a little more careful with my cuts from the get-go, it would have saved me a lot of time. Next is choosing the angles. I try to put forward voices that we hear. Let's say cello 1 has a big solo, I will try to bring it forward visually as well. If I run out of space because there's too many cello parts, I will try to skip the most repetitive ones or the most boring ones. I also try to start and end each cut following the natural phrases of the pieces. That way the new angles don't just appear in the middle of the note. which kind of weirds me out for some reasons. I then mask the parts of the takes that I'm not going to be using. I prefer that to deleting them because that way I can change them easily if I change my mind and wants to use another angle suddenly. That's also when I check to see if everything is well aligned and there is not one video higher or lower than the other. Finally, I work on the text. The program don't offer many choices and some of them are pretty corny, but I like to change it up and I'm not committing to only one style. Maybe someday I should look up what else they offer because I'm getting pretty indecisive now with the current selection. I think I've tried most of the normal looking ones. And when everything is done, I just export the video. Exporting used to take me so much time, but now I think, well, it depends on the size of the video, but it's usually around like 10 minutes to 15 minutes of waiting time. We are finally on the thumbnail. I usually go on Canva because it's super easy to use and it's free. It's a website that lets you create any images you might need. They offer set sizes for all social media, so if you ever need Facebook banners or anything like that, I highly recommend it. They have a size for YouTube thumbnails, and so this is what I use. And I've already created a layout that I like, and I changed all my previous thumbnail to this format over the summer. I don't know if you guys noticed. I had an all gray theme before, but I do enjoy putting a screenshot of the video and a colored image of the source material now. It makes the thumbnail more vibrant. Finding the right picture is definitely the hardest part of the thumbnail. I can spend so many minutes on just finding the right image, and then sometimes I just end up changing it at the end. And with this, the video is finally over. The only thing is now to just upload it to YouTube. And it always makes me super happy when you take the time to comment on it, because as you can see, it does take quite a bit of work. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and that it gave you a better idea of what I go through to create those videos. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. And now, thank you all for 1,000 subs. Here's a little snippet of what's coming next week.